Hey, Tobyn. Happy birthday. Well, guess what? I have a book for you. This was my favorite book when I was a little boy, and my dad would read this to me. It's called Mike Mulligan and His Steam Shovel. Well, they don't have steam shovels anymore, so instead we're going to call it an excavator. Mike Mulligan and His Excavator. So Mike Mulligan had an excavator, a beautiful red steam excavator. Her name was Mary Ann. Mike Mulligan was very proud of Mary Ann. He always said that she could dig as much in a day as 100 men could dig in a week. But he had never been quite sure that this was true. So here's Mike Mulligan and his steam excavator, Mary Ann, and you can see how proud he is of her. Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann had been digging together for years and years. Mike Mulligan took such good care of Mary Ann that she never grew old. It was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who dug the great canals for the big boats to sail through. So here you have Mary Ann and Mike Mulligan. They're digging the canals. And then over here the canals are all done and you can see the boats sailing through. It was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who cut through the high mountains so that trains could go through. So here's Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann, and they're cutting through the mountains, and now here it is, and the trains can go through. It was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who lowered the hills and straightened the curves to make the long highways for automobiles. So here's Mary Ann, and they're straightening the curves and cutting down the hills, and there's the highways for all the cars to go on. It was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who smoothed out the ground and filled in the holes to make landing fields for the airplanes. So here they are, they're smoothing out the ground, and now here's an airport, a landing field for the airplanes. And it was Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann and some others who dug the deep holes for the cellars, for the tall skyscrapers in the big cities. When people used to stop and watch them, Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann used to dig a little faster and a little better. The more people stopped, the faster and the better they dug. Some days they would keep as many as 37 trucks busy taking away the dirt they had dug. So here they are digging the cellar for a big tall building, and you can see all the people watching. But then along came the new gasoline shovels and the new electric shovels and the new diesel motor shovels, and took all the jobs away from the steam excavators. Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann were very sad. So here you see all the new ones, the new excavators coming along, the gasoline ones and the diesel ones. So there's no room for the steam excavators, no jobs left. And Mary Ann and Mike Mulligan are very sad. All the other steam excavators were being sold for junk and left out in old gravel pits to rust and fall apart. But Mike loved Mary Ann. He just couldn't do that to her. He had taken such good care of her that she could still dig as much in a day as 100 men could dig in a week. At least he thought she could, but he wasn't quite sure. Everywhere they went, the new gas excavators and the new electric excavators and the new diesel excavators had all the jobs. No one wanted Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann anymore. Then one day, Mike read in a newspaper that the town of Popperville was going to build a new town hall. "We're going to dig the cellar of that town hall," said Mike to Mary Ann, and off they started. So here's where all the old steam excavators ended up, in a trash pit, all rusted. And here's Mike and Mary Ann reading the newspaper, finding out that there's a job in Popperville for them. They left the canals and the roadways and the highways and the airports and the big cities where no one wanted them anymore, and went way out into the country. They crawled along slowly up the hills and down the hills till they came to the little town of Popperville. So here they are, they're crawling out of the city, down along the country roads, and they come to the little town of Popperville. When they got there, they found that the selectmen were just deciding who should dig the cellar for the new town hall. Mike Mulligan spoke to Henry B. Swap, one of the selectmen. "I heard," he said, "that you are going to build a new town hall. Mary Ann and I will dig the cellar for you in just one day." "What?" said Henry B. Swap. "Dig a cellar in a day? It would take 100 men, at least a week, to dig the cellar for our new town hall." "Sure," said Mike, "but Mary Ann can dig as much in a day as 100 men can dig in a week." Though he had never been quite sure this was true. But then he added, "If we can't do it, you won't have to pay us." Well, Henry B. Swap thought that this would be an easy way to get part of the cellar dug for nothing. So he smiled in a rather mean way and gave the job of digging of the new town hall to Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. So here's Mike Mulligan, and he's talking to Henry B. Swap, and the people are watching, and he's saying, "Hey, we could dig that cellar in just one day." They started in early the next morning, just as the sun was coming up. And soon a little boy came along. "Do you think you will finish by sundown?" he said to Mike Mulligan. "Sure," said Mike. "If you stay and watch us, we always work faster and better when someone is watching us." So the little boy stayed to watch. So here's the little boy with his dog, and here's Mike Mulligan getting ready to dig the cellar. Well, then came Mrs. McGillicuddy. Henry B. Swap and the town constable came over to see what was happening, and they stayed to watch. Well, Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann, they dug a little faster and a little better. So there's Henry B. Swap and the town constable. They're coming to watch. Now, here's Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann, and they're digging a little bit faster. Well, this gave the little boy a good idea. He ran off and he told the postman with the morning mail, the telegraph boy on his bicycle, the milkman with his cart and horse, the doctor on his way home, and the farmer and his family coming into town for the day. And they all stopped and stayed to watch. Well, that made Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann dig a little faster and a little better. They finished the first corner, neat and square. But the sun was getting higher. Here's all the people, they're coming in to watch. And there's Mary Ann and Mike Mulligan, and they finished the first corner of the building, but they still have 3 more to go. Now the girl who answers the telephone called up the next towns of Bungerville and Popperville, and Kipperville and Copperville, and told them what was happening in Popperville. All the people came to see if Mike Mulligan and his steam excavator could dig the cellar in just one day. The more people came, the faster Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann dug. But they would have to hurry. They were only halfway through, and the sun was beginning to go down. So here's more and more people, and they're all standing around, and they're watching Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann dig. But they only have 2 corners dug now. Never had Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann had so many people to watch them. Never had they dug so fast and so well. And never had the sun seemed to go down so fast. "Hurry, Mike Mulligan, hurry, hurry," shouted the little boy. "There's not much more time." Oh, dirt was flying everywhere, and the smoke and the steam were so thick that the people could hardly see anything. But listen. Bing, bang, crash, slam, louder and louder, faster and faster. Whoa, look at this. They're digging so fast, there's so much dirt and steam you can hardly see them. Then suddenly it was quiet. Slowly the dirt settled down, the smoke and the steam cleared away, and there was the cellar, all finished. 4 corners, neat and square. 4 walls, straight down. And Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann at the bottom, and the sun was just going down behind the hill. "Hooray!" shouted the people. "Hooray for Mike Mulligan and his steam excavator. They have dug the cellar just one day." Look at that. All the people standing around. And there's Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann, and they're in the bottom of the pit, of the hole. Suddenly the little boy said, "How are they going to get out?" "That's right," says Mrs. McGillicuddy to Henry B. Swap. "How's he going to get his steam excavator out?" Well, Henry B. Swap didn't answer, but he smiled in a rather mean way. Then everybody said, "How are you going to get out?" "Hi, Mike Mulligan. How are you going to get your steam excavator out?" Mike Mulligan looked around at the 4 square walls and the 4 square corners. And he said, "Well, we've dug so fast and we've dug so well that we've quite forgotten to leave a way out." Nothing like this had ever happened to Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann before, and they didn't know what to do. There's all the people, and there's Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. They're at the bottom of the hole. What's he going to do? He can't get out. Oh, nothing like this had ever happened before in Popperville. Everybody started talking at once, and everybody had a different idea, and everybody thought that his idea was the best. They talked, and they argued, and they fought till they were worn out. And still when no one knew how to get Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann out of the cellar they had dug. Then Henry B. Swap said, "The job isn't finished yet, because Mary Ann isn't out of the cellar. So Mike Mulligan won't get paid." And he smiled again in a rather mean way. But the little boy, who had been keeping very quiet, had another idea. He said, "Why couldn't we leave Mary Ann in the cellar and build a new town hall above her? Let her be the furnace for the new town hall, and let Mike Mulligan be the janitor. Then you won't have to buy a new furnace, and we could pay Mike Mulligan for digging the cellar in just one day." So here's all the pipe people trying to figure out what happened. And here's the little boy and his dog, and he says, "Why not put Mary Ann and make her the furnace and provide heat for the building?" "Why not?" said Henry B. Swap, and smiled in a way that was really not quite so mean. "Why not?" said Mrs. McGillicuddy. "Why not?" said the town constable. "Why not?" said all the people. So they found a ladder and climbed down into the cellar to ask Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. "Why not?" said Mike Mulligan. So it was decided, and everybody was happy. So here they are. There's a ladder, and they climb down, and they ask Mike Mulligan, "How about it? How about if we turn Mary Ann into the furnace and just leave her in the hole?" They built the new town hall right over Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. It was finished before winter. And every day, the little boy goes over to see Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann, and Mrs. McGillicuddy takes some nice hot apple pies. As for Henry B. Swap, he spends most of his time in the cellar of the new town hall, listening to the stories that Mike Mulligan has to tell and smiling in a way that isn't mean at all. So there they are. They're building the new town hall, and here's the town hall, and Mary Ann's inside the town hall. Now, when you go to Popperville, be sure to go down in the cellar of the new town hall, because they'll be there, Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann, Mike in his rocking chair smoking his pipe, and Mary Ann beside him warming up the meetings in the new town hall. So, there he is. There's Mike Mulligan with all the pipes, and he's providing the heat, making the building warm for everybody. And here's Mike in his rocking chair, and everybody's coming down to tell stories. So there you have it. Now I'm going to put this book in the mail, and I'm going to send it to you for your birthday, and maybe your dad will read it to you. Or you can always watch this video and let me read it to you. Happy birthday, Tobyn.
Start.
Let's go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tobyn. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tobyn.